Now, the process of getting a PhD position can be very different in different countries. In some countries, it's more like a job interview where you apply for a position that is already funded by the supervisor, while in other countries, you might need to find your own funding or apply to the university and then find a supervisor that you can do your research with. What all of these different application procedures have in common, though, is that at some point you need to convince a future supervisor, a principal investigator, PI, or a professor that you are going to be a great fit for in their research team and that they want to work with you for the next 4+ years. And while this process might have a lot of similarities to a normal job interview and a lot of the same tips work for it, there are also some differences that are specific to the academic interview for PhD positions or perhaps even postdocs. And in this video, we have 7 tips for you that are going to help you nail your PhD interview. Welcome to The Struggling Scientist, a channel where my partner Jaron and I, Susanne, make videos with tips and tricks that hopefully help you as a struggling academic or scientist make your life just a little bit easier. So let's start. So the first tip I have for you is to set the right tone. And that already starts at your first communication, via email most likely. You want to be clear and polite and make sure that the person you want to be your supervisor has all the information about you that is needed. And that starts with using the proper titles for the person you are emailing. Now, I know that in certain countries, like for example the Netherlands, where I am, there is quite a flattened hierarchical structure, and you might not be used to having to use the professor, doctor titles when emailing somebody. But when you're doing this for a potential PhD position, I would really always recommend to do this. Because what you're showing is that you know how academic structure works, that you are very interested, that you are polite and neat, and also that you respect all the years of work that somebody has put into doing research and to get these titles. Because to become a professor, that is quite a long journey. And by using the professor title, you showcase respect for that. So it's really important that you get those titles right. Of course, it's also a little bit of an ego thing where people really like it if you address them properly because they have worked really hard for it. But it's also just a sign of respect for their hard work. Now, my general advice when it comes to emailing, also for your other professional emails when you're already a PhD, is to keep using the proper titles until somebody else gives you permission to stop using them. And that's usually quite clear in the way that they sign off their email. If they say just greetings Wouter, then you can start your next email with dear Wouter. And if they call you hi Susanne, in my case, then you have now also permission to just start your email with hi Wouter. But before you get that, always start off with proper titles and be respectful in your emails. Now, when it comes to the actual content of your emails, you want to make it clear, concise, be extra clear in your communication, perhaps check an extra time, put in some effort into this communication. You want to make sure that the other person that you're emailing has all the information about you, so add your CV and add a nice cover letter with some examples of why you are interested in doing research in their group. Use some specific examples perhaps out of research that you see they're doing and really show your interest in their specific research. But also be authentic. I don't think that when I had applied for my position, anybody would have believed me if I said that I had a childhood interest in cholesterol metabolism, because that's not really how it worked. I found out during my internships that I really loved complex biochemical pathways, and that's why I applied to a position in a biochemistry department, which was a great reason for me. But it was also very authentic, and it was a real reason of why I wanted to do the research there. So be authentic also in your emails and of course also in the rest of your job interview, because that's very important. I would also showcase some personality either in your CV or in your application letter, because you want to stand out from it. And sometimes PIs really appreciate it if you have done team sports, for example, because it shows that you have real team mentality and things like that. The weirdest things can help you get the position. So show some of those things in your CV and your application letter as well. And one last point, which is more relevant for after your interview, but does go to setting the right tone, and this first tip is to send a thank you email after your interview, where you thank the persons that you talked to for their time and for their interest in talking to you. And you reiterate that you are really interested. Perhaps name a couple of examples of things that came up during the interview that make you even more excited about the position than you were initially. And this can really help showcase that you are respectful, that you're kind, and that you respect their time as well, which can really help.
Our goal is to make the lives of struggling scientists or academics just a little bit easier. And one of the ways you can do that is with the use of AI, but only if you use it properly, and stay far away from letting ChatGPT write your entire paper. But what can you use the help of AI with? Well, so much more than you think. It can help you find connections between papers. It can help you test your knowledge on a subject and find your pitfalls. Of course, it can also help you improve your writing if you use it properly. And not to mention all the more recent developments in AI that you might not even have heard of before. Here on our channel, we regularly make videos about AI tools. But if you want a more complete overview, check out our masterclass on AI tools for academics, where we go into each part of the scientific process and how AI can help you without being just a gimmick.
Then the second tip is to do your research. Look up what a lab is all about, what their research goals are, what type of research they are doing, and make sure you have knowledge about this. Make sure you can name examples of research that you find really interesting, of examples that they have done that really spoke to you, that you can name during your interview. And be ready to discuss how your skills and goals can fit into their research group. Say, for example, something like, I saw your recent paper about X, and I would be really interested in applying my skills into this research topic by doing whatever is relevant for your research topic. This shows initiative and that you are genuinely interested in the work and what they're doing. Now, tip number 3 is to know your own research inside out. Be sure that you're ready to answer any questions that a PI professor might have about this research. Be ready to summarize your previous research. Even if it's less relevant to your current position, you still should be able to name skills, techniques that you used, showcase your problem-solving abilities, and be ready to answer any questions that they might have about your previous research or a thesis that you have completed. Practice explaining the more complex ideas clearly. Pretend that you're, for example, talking to somebody from a different field and practice it like that. Also be ready to answer questions like, what was, for example, the biggest challenge in your master's or your thesis research, and how did you overcome it? All of this and the confidence that you can show in your previous work can really help convince a supervisor, potential supervisor, that you are a great fit and that you know what you are doing. Now, tip number 4 is to not forget that this is also your chance to interview your potential future supervisor. You should be asking questions as well. You can, for example, ask about lab culture, about expectations, about ongoing projects and how far they already are. Be ready to ask questions about this and avoid questions to things that you can already find on the internet. But really focus on specifics like mentorship style and collaboration opportunities and things like that. This is really your opportunity to figure out if the style of mentoring from this supervisor will fit well with what you need. So you need to also be aware of your limitations and the things that you are good at and what type of mentorship you want or need. Are you a person who is very independent and would absolutely hate a micromanaging supervisor? Or are you a person that would actually love weekly meetings and would like a little bit more guidance? That can really matter when picking a supervisor. Every person is different, has different needs, and will connect with a different supervisor better than with another one. So this is your chance to figure this out. Ask questions like, how would you describe your own mentorship style? How do PhD students usually balance their coursework with being practical in the lab? Or are there opportunities to collaborate with other labs during my project? Good questions like this will showcase that you have thought about it, that you know yourself, that you know what you're looking for, and will help you find a good position also for yourself that will be a great fit for you. Which is, of course, also super important for your mental and physical health over the next 4 years. Another thing you should really take into account during the application process is that you want to talk with some current members or previous members in the lab. You can ask for this during the interview. Perhaps if there's a second round of interviews, then this would be a great moment to talk with some people in the lab. Or you can find them on LinkedIn. You can ask them specifically about what the lab environment was like, what kind of support they were given, what the department was like, and all the other information that might really help you to figure out if this research group is a great fit with you. Tip number 5 is to demonstrate your motivation and enthusiasm during the PhD interview as well. Talk about why you want to pursue a PhD, Use some personal stories about times you were very motivated or things that led you to wanting to become a researcher. Show enthusiasm for learning, growth, and all the challenges that can come with a PhD journey. Say things, for example, like, I'm particularly excited about the chance to work on a specific problem in the field because of my passion for a related area. Supervisors really want to see that you are passionate and enthusiastic, especially still at the start of your PhD, of course, to work in their specific field. And this is really important to showcase during the interview as well. Tip number 6 is to be honest about your strengths, but also honest about your weaknesses. Of course, it's great to name all the things you're good at, the techniques that you already know that fit in the field, but showcasing that you also know what weaknesses you still have really showcases a maturity, and willingness to learn is very important. When you're discussing weaknesses, showcase them as things that you still need to improve, things that you are really interested in learning. Also, perhaps mention some steps that you are considering about how you would learn them during your PhD. You don't need to know everything yet. A PhD is also about learning new things and developing yourself as a researcher, of course. So nobody expects you to already know all the techniques that you can possibly do in a lab, because there are just too many to know them all. But if there are specific skills that are required, you can say, for example, I've realized during my master's that I need to improve my coding skills, and because of this, I have been trying to learn Python now. This shows that you were interested in learning it, that you have made some steps already, but that you're still developing this skill. And then we have already gotten to the last tip, tip number 7, which is to practice common interview questions. Things that they would also ask during a job interview, they might definitely also ask during your PhD interview. For example, questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why do you want to join my lab specifically? What do you think will be your biggest challenge while pursuing a PhD? Or other questions like that. A specific tip from the world of job interviews is to use the STAR method, which stands for situation, task, action, and result, which means that you build up an answer to a question from a situation that you have come across before, a task that you needed to do, then describe what action you took, and then the result that led to. And like this, you can very clearly state what type of problem solving you do. Practice your interviews with friends, families, or perhaps in front of a mirror to build some confidence for yourself. And all this practicing will help you stay calm and organized during your job interview. Now, we from The Struggling Scientist wish you the best of luck with your PhD interview, and we really hope that you will absolutely nail it. Now, if you've watched this video and you think we have missed some very important tips, then leave them below in the comment section to help your fellow future academics out as well. We are really interested to see what tips you might have. Now, if you want to see more videos like that, definitely like and subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you next time. Bye!